Chosen one, before you do anything else, stop for a moment. Take a breath. Because there is something you need to hear. You may have been looking at your life and wondering who is actually on your side, not who says they are, not who smiles at you, not who likes your posts, answers your messages, or tells you what you want to hear. I mean who actually stands up for you when your name comes up and you are not in the room. That is where this message begins, because there is someone who has been standing up for you in silence, and you may have absolutely no idea how strongly they feel about you. You may think you are walking through this season alone. You may believe that nobody understands what you have been dealing with. You may even have reached a point where you stopped expecting anyone to defend you. But someone has not stopped believing in you. Someone has not accepted the version of you that other people created. Someone has looked beyond the rumors, the misunderstandings, the mistakes, the distance, and the silence. And they have made a decision. They are standing on your side quietly, without announcing it, without needing applause, without making sure you know every detail. And chosen one, what makes this even more powerful is that they may have defended you at a moment when you could not defend yourself. Think about that. Someone mentioned your name. Someone questioned your intentions. Someone misunderstood something you did. Someone may have judged you based on what they thought they knew. And instead of joining the conversation, this person stopped it. Instead of agreeing with the criticism, they challenged it. Instead of allowing someone to define you, they said something different, something that may surprise you. They may have said, "You don't really know them." They may have said, "There is more to their story." They may have said, "I trust them." And those words matter, because anyone can support you when everyone is watching. Real support is revealed when nobody knows you are being supported. That is the kind of support this message is talking about. You have probably experienced seasons where you felt like you had to explain yourself constantly. You tried to prove your intentions. You tried to make people understand your heart. You tried to convince people that you were not the person they had decided you were. And eventually, you got tired. You stopped explaining. You stopped defending yourself. You started saying, "If they misunderstand me, let them." And maybe that silence was necessary. Because while you were becoming silent, someone else was speaking, not loudly, not dramatically, but enough to protect your name, enough to challenge an unfair judgment, enough to remind someone that you are more than one mistake. Chosen one, you don't always get to hear the conversations that happen when you leave the room. But that does not mean those conversations are meaningless. There are people who discover your value only after they lose access to you. There are people who understand your heart only after seeing what happens when you stop chasing their approval. And there are people who quietly realize that the person they once misunderstood is actually someone they should have trusted. Maybe that is why certain relationships have felt strange lately. Maybe someone has become quieter around you. Maybe someone has been watching from a distance. Maybe they are not communicating the way they used to, and you assumed that silence meant they stopped caring. But silence does not always mean rejection. Sometimes silence means someone is processing what they now understand. Sometimes people become quiet because they are realizing that what they heard about you was not the full story. And sometimes someone is quietly choosing your side. I want you to think about one person while you are listening to this. Don't force a name. Don't chase a memory. Just let the person come naturally. Who came to your mind? Maybe you already know. Maybe there is someone whose energy has felt different. Someone who doesn't always say much, but when they speak, you listen. Someone who has seen you at your worst and still didn't completely walk away. Someone who knows things about your journey that other people don't know. That person may understand you more than you realize. And here is the part I want you to remember. You don't have to chase them for confirmation. You don't have to ask them, "Are you defending me?" You don't have to force a conversation. You don't have to prove that you deserve their trust. If their support is real, it will reveal itself through their actions, not through pressure, not through begging, not through manipulation, through consistency. And chosen one, if you have been feeling alone lately, I want you to comment something simple below. Write, "I am not alone." Not because you need to convince everyone else. Write it as a reminder to yourself. Because sometimes the biggest mistake we make is assuming that what we cannot see does not exist. You cannot see every conversation. You cannot hear every defense. You cannot know every person who is quietly hoping you succeed. And you cannot measure every heart that genuinely wants the best for you. There may be more support around you than you realize. And someone may already know something about your future that you have not understood yet. Stay with me, because what this person said about you is not the part I want you to miss. The words they spoke may reveal exactly how deeply they trust you. And once you understand that, you may finally realize why their silence never meant what you thought it meant. Chosen one. There is a difference between someone liking you and someone trusting you. There is a difference between someone enjoying your presence and someone believing in your character. And the person standing up for you appears to have crossed that line. They don't simply tolerate you. They believe there is something genuine about you. And perhaps they have witnessed something that other people never had the opportunity to see. They saw the nights when you were struggling, saw you continue when quitting would have been easier. They saw you give when you had little to give. They saw you remain loyal even when you were disappointed. They saw you stay quiet instead of exposing people. And those experiences created something inside them. Respect. That is why their defense of you may be stronger than you realize, because they are not defending an image, they are defending the person they know. Imagine a conversation happening without you. Someone brings up your name. Maybe they say something negative. Maybe they question your decision. Maybe they say you have changed. Maybe they assume you think you are better than everyone else. And this person listens. They don't immediately react. Then they say something you never expected. They say, "You don't know what they have been through." That sentence alone can change a conversation, because suddenly the person judging you has to consider something they ignored. Your story, your circumstances, your battles, your reasons, your humanity. And maybe this person has said even more. Maybe they told someone that you are not perfect, but you are genuine. Maybe they said that you have made mistakes, but you never stop trying. Maybe they said that you care more than people realize. Maybe they said that you don't deserve the way certain people have treated you. And perhaps the most surprising thing they said was simply, "I trust them." Think about how powerful those words are. I trust them. In a world where people change sides quickly, trust is not a small thing. When someone says they trust you, they are placing their judgment against someone else's opinion. They are saying, "I know enough about this person to make my own decision." And that is exactly what someone may have done for you. They made their own decision. They didn't allow the crowd to decide your value. They didn't allow gossip to become truth. They didn't allow one bad moment to erase everything good they had seen. And chosen one, maybe this is why you have felt strangely protected lately. Maybe you walked away from situations that could have damaged you. Maybe a conversation never reached you. Maybe someone changed their mind about you before making a decision. Maybe an opportunity remained open because someone spoke well of you. Maybe someone mentioned your name in the right room. You may think it was luck, but sometimes the thing protecting your reputation is not something you can see. Sometimes it is another person's integrity. And that is beautiful. Because real support does not always arrive with a dramatic announcement. Sometimes it arrives as a sentence spoken in a room you will never enter. Sometimes it is a person saying, "Give them a chance." Sometimes it is someone refusing to believe the worst about you. Sometimes it is a person who quietly says, "I know them differently." And that sentence can become a shield. Chosen one, there is another reason this matters. You have spent too much time worrying about people who misunderstood you. You replayed conversations. You wondered what they thought. You wondered who was talking about you. You wondered why someone suddenly changed. You wondered whether people secretly disliked you, and all of that thinking drained you. But what if you stopped measuring your worth through the people who don't understand you? What if you started paying attention to the people who do? You don't need everyone. You need genuine people. You need people who can see your humanity without using your imperfections against you. You need people who can disagree with you without destroying you. You need people who can correct you without humiliating you. You need people who can hear a negative story about you and still say, "I'm going to judge for myself." That person is rare. And if you have someone like that in your life, don't take them for granted. Maybe you haven't recognized their value because they don't make a big show of their support. Maybe they aren't constantly sending messages. Maybe they don't comment on everything. Maybe they don't announce publicly that they believe in you. But when it matters, they show up. That's the difference. Words are easy, actions are expensive. And someone may be paying that price for you quietly. Now ask yourself something. Have you ever had a person defend you when you weren't there? If you have, tell me in the comments. You don't have to give their name. Just write, "Yes, someone did." Because someone reading your comment may realize they are not the only one experiencing this. And that matters. We are not here to create a fantasy around another person. We are here to recognize something simple. Sometimes people believe in you before you believe in yourself. Sometimes they see your potential before you can see it. Sometimes they remember your strength while you are focused on your weakness. And sometimes someone says one sentence about you that stays with them for a long time. Maybe the sentence was, "They're going to be okay." Maybe it was, "They're going to make it." Maybe it was, "Don't count them out." Or maybe, "They haven't even shown you what they're capable of yet." Chosen one. That last sentence carries weight because someone may see a version of you that you have not become yet, and they may be standing up for you because they believe that version is coming. Stay with me, because there is another layer to this. The person standing up for you may not just be protecting your past. They may be protecting your future. Chosen one. Sometimes the person who believes in you the most is not the person who has known you the longest. It is the person who paid attention. They noticed the details. They noticed what happened when nobody was watching. They noticed how you treated people who could do nothing for you. They noticed how you responded when you were disappointed. They noticed that even after being hurt, you still had compassion. They noticed that you kept moving even when your confidence was low. And those observations created trust. This is why someone may be standing up for you now. They have evidence. Not evidence from rumors, not evidence from social media, not evidence from what somebody else said. Their evidence is experience. They experienced you. They watched you. They saw you. And because of that, their opinion cannot easily be changed. Someone can tell them a story about you. They may listen, but then they remember who you actually are. And they say, "That doesn't sound like the person I know." That sentence can be powerful because it means somebody has built an internal picture of you based on reality. Not gossip, not assumptions, reality. Chosen one. You may have been judged by people who only saw one chapter of your life. But this person saw the chapters between the chapters. They saw what happened before the change. They saw what happened after the disappointment. They saw how you handled the pressure. And they may have realized something. You are still becoming. You are not finished. You are not defined by your lowest moment. You are not defined by the opinion of someone who never took the time to understand you. And maybe this is why someone is refusing to let other people speak carelessly about you. Because they know your story is more complicated than the version being presented. Think about how many times people make decisions based on fragments. One conversation, one mistake, one rumor, one misunderstanding, one emotional reaction. And suddenly, they believe they know everything. But one person may have been wise enough to say, "Wait. Let's not judge too quickly. There's more to this." That person may be doing something for you that you cannot repay. They are giving you the benefit of the doubt. And in some situations, that is one of the greatest forms of respect, because they could have easily joined the crowd. It would have been easier. It would have required less courage. But they chose differently. They chose to think. They chose to remember. They chose to trust their own experience. And perhaps most importantly, they chose not to betray you simply because it was socially convenient. Chosen one, listen carefully. Not everyone who walks away from you hates you. Not everyone who becomes quiet has abandoned you. And not everyone who is distant has stopped caring. Sometimes people are dealing with their own circumstances. Sometimes they are watching. Sometimes they are waiting for the right moment. Sometimes they are trying to understand what they feel. And sometimes they are protecting you without telling you. You may be wondering why this person hasn't said everything directly. Maybe because they don't want to create unnecessary conflict. Maybe they know that telling you everything would pull you into drama. Maybe they are protecting their relationship with you. Maybe they simply believe that you don't need to know every conversation. And honestly, that may be wise, because not every battle deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your response. Not every accusation deserves an explanation. There are moments when silence becomes strength, and while you remain silent, someone else may be saying enough. Enough to keep a door open, enough to preserve respect, enough to stop a false story from becoming permanent. Chosen one, I want you to understand something about your current season. You may be tempted to prove yourself. Don't. You may be tempted to confront everyone. Don't. You may want to find out who said what. Be careful, because sometimes the moment you start chasing every conversation, you lose your peace. Let people talk. Let people misunderstand. Let people form opinions. Your responsibility is not to control every person's perception of you. Your responsibility is to live in a way that your character eventually speaks louder than the rumors. And that is exactly what may be happening. Your consistency is becoming your defense. Your actions are becoming your explanation. Your growth is becoming your answer. And someone is noticing. Someone is watching the difference between who you were and who you are becoming. Maybe they have quietly said, "They are changing. They are stronger now. They don't react the way they used to. They've learned. They're becoming more focused." That kind of observation matters because it means someone isn't only defending your past, they are recognizing your growth. And Chosen One, perhaps that is what surprised you most about this message. You expected someone to defend you because they felt sorry for you. But what if they are defending you because they respect you? There is a huge difference. Pity says, "I feel bad for you." Respect says, "I believe you can rise." Pity looks at your wounds. Respect looks at your strength. And someone may be seeing your strength. They may not see you as fragile. They may see you as someone who has survived things that would have broken other people. They may believe that your current struggle is temporary. And maybe that is why they refuse to let other people write your ending. Now, if you have ever felt that someone believed in you before you believed in yourself, comment. They saw it first. That is enough. No explanation required, because sometimes one sentence can describe an entire season of your life. And Chosen One, there is still something you need to understand. The reason this person's words carry so much weight may be because they know something about you that you have forgotten. They remember your potential. They remember the version of you that existed before disappointment taught you to doubt yourself. And they may be waiting for you to remember it too. Chosen One, there are some conversations you will never hear. And maybe that is a good thing. Because if you heard every opinion, every doubt, every criticism, every assumption, you would spend your entire life trying to respond. You would lose focus. You would lose peace. You would become addicted to knowing what everyone thinks. But you were never meant to live like that. You don't need access to every conversation. You need to know who you are. And perhaps that is why the person supporting you has remained quiet. They don't want you distracted. They don't want you chasing people. They don't want you fighting battles that aren't yours. They may understand something you haven't yet understood. Your future is too important to waste on every opinion. Imagine someone criticizing you, and instead of telling you, this person simply says, "Leave them alone. Let them think what they want. They'll understand eventually." That may be the greatest favor someone can do for you, because they are not feeding your anxiety. They are protecting your peace. And perhaps they know that once you start explaining yourself, the conversation never ends. One explanation leads to another. One accusation creates another. One misunderstanding becomes another. So they choose not to drag you into it. They simply stand there, quietly. And that silence may actually be loyalty. Chosen One, there is a kind of loyalty that doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't post about you. It doesn't tell everyone that it supports you. It doesn't make a performance out of caring. It simply remains. And sometimes the people who remain quietly are more important than the people who loudly promise forever. Look at consistency. Look at character. Look at who has been there without needing recognition. That is where the truth is. Maybe there is someone in your life who rarely gives you compliments, but always protects your dignity. Maybe they don't say much, but they don't allow others to disrespect you. Maybe they challenge you privately, but defend you publicly. That is rare and that is meaningful. Because someone who truly cares about you does not need you to be perfect before they respect you. They can see your flaws. They can disagree with your decisions. They can tell you when you are wrong, but they still refuse to let other people destroy your character unfairly. That is what genuine trust looks like. And Chosen One, perhaps you have been searching for loud confirmation when the real confirmation has been quiet. You wanted a message. You wanted a sign. You wanted someone to say everything directly. But sometimes the evidence is hidden in behavior. Someone checks on you when you disappear. Someone remembers what you told them months ago. Someone gives you opportunities instead of empty compliments. Someone refuses to believe negative things without hearing your side. Someone protects your name when you're absent. Someone tells another person, "Give them time." Someone says, "I know them." These small things are not small. They reveal character. And perhaps this person has been doing more of them than you realize. Now, there is something else I want to tell you. Do not turn this message into an excuse to obsess over one specific person. Don't spend the next 3 days analyzing every text message. Don't stalk their social media looking for signs. Don't assume every coincidence is connected. The point is not to become obsessed with who is supporting you. The point is to recognize genuine support when it appears, and to stop believing that you are completely alone. That is the lesson. You are not required to know everything happening behind the scenes. You are required to keep moving forward, because sometimes people are working in your favor without telling you. Sometimes an opportunity comes because someone recommended you. Sometimes a relationship survives because someone refused to believe the worst. Sometimes your reputation remains intact because someone spoke honestly about you. And sometimes you find out much later, months later, years later. Someone says, "You know, I remember when people were saying those things about you." And you ask, "What happened?" And they say, "I defended you." You might be shocked because you had no idea. You were living your life. You were dealing with your own struggles. You were trying to survive your own season. Meanwhile, someone was quietly standing in a conversation you never knew existed. And that is why you should stop assuming that silence means nobody cares. There may be people praying for your success. There may be people hoping you heal. There may be people who want to see you win. There may be someone who genuinely trusts you. And you may never know the full extent of it. That's okay. Not every good thing needs to be witnessed by you. Some things can remain hidden until the right moment. Chosen one, if this message is connecting with something you've experienced, tell me below. I've been misunderstood. Because there are people listening right now who have spent years trying to be understood by the wrong people. Maybe they finally need permission to stop. You don't need to convince everyone. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to correct every false assumption. Let your life become the evidence. Let your consistency become the evidence. Let your character become the evidence. And let the people who genuinely know you speak when necessary. Because the right person does not need a microphone to stand up for you. Sometimes all they need is courage. And someone may already have that courage. Chosen one, let's go deeper. Why would someone trust you this much? Why would someone defend you when it would be easier to remain silent? Why would they continue believing in you when other people have already formed opinions? There may be a simple answer. They have seen your heart, not the version of you that you show everyone. The real version. The version that appears when nobody is watching. Maybe they saw you help someone without telling anyone. Maybe they saw you forgive something you had every reason to hold against someone. Maybe they watched you carry responsibilities that nobody appreciated. Maybe they saw you keep going when you were exhausted. Maybe they saw how deeply you care. And perhaps they realized something. You are not the person everyone thinks you are. This is why their trust is different. They didn't trust you because you were popular. They didn't trust you because everyone agreed with you. They trusted you because their personal experience gave them a reason. And that is difficult to destroy. Someone can tell them anything, but their experience says otherwise. Think about that. Your reputation can be attacked. Your intentions can be questioned. Your choices can be criticized. But the people who truly know your character cannot easily be convinced that you are someone you're not. That is why genuine relationships survive misunderstandings. They have foundations, and maybe this person has built one with you. You may not have noticed it. You may have been too focused on who left, too focused on who disappointed you, too focused on who stopped replying, too focused on who changed, and because of that you overlooked the person who stayed consistent. This happens. Pain is loud. Loyalty is often quiet. Betrayal gets your attention. Consistency can become invisible. But today, I want you to notice consistency. Who has been steady? Who doesn't change their attitude based on who is watching? Who can disagree with you without humiliating you? Who respects your boundaries? Who doesn't use your vulnerable moments against you? Who gives you honest advice? Who speaks well of you when you aren't there? That person deserves your attention, not because you owe them something, but because genuine loyalty is rare and chosen one. Maybe they have already told someone something about you that you would never expect. Maybe they said, "There's a reason they are different." Maybe they said, "They don't deserve to be treated like that." Maybe they said, "They're stronger than they look." Maybe they said, They're going to surprise people. Or maybe they simply said, I believe in them. Those words may sound simple, but when spoken at the right moment, they can change everything. Imagine someone being ready to count you out, and one person says, don't. That one word can create space. It can stop a decision. It can open another opportunity. It can change someone's perception. You may never know. And that's why I don't want you to become discouraged because you cannot see immediate results. Sometimes things are shifting before you receive evidence. Sometimes people are changing their minds before they tell you. Sometimes someone is preparing to approach you differently. Sometimes someone who once misunderstood you is beginning to understand you. And sometimes the person who has quietly trusted you is about to reveal just how much they actually believe in you. But there is one thing you must not do. Do not force the reveal. Don't pressure them. Don't demand proof. Don't create a confrontation just because you heard a message about hidden support. Let reality reveal itself naturally. If they truly trust you, their behavior will eventually make it obvious. You don't need to manufacture the moment. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to manipulate anyone into admitting what they feel. Let people show you, and when they do, pay attention. Because there is a difference between someone saying, I support you, and someone making decisions that prove it. Words are easy. Actions tell the story, chosen one. Maybe the biggest surprise isn't that someone is defending you. Maybe the biggest surprise is why. They may not be defending you because they think you're perfect. They may be defending you because they know you're real. They know you have flaws. They know you've made mistakes. They know you've had difficult moments. But they also know that you are capable of growth. That is powerful. A person who believes in your growth is more valuable than someone who only praises your perfection. Because real belief says, I know where you are, but I also know where you can go. And someone may be looking at you exactly that way. They may see potential that you have forgotten. They may see strength beneath your exhaustion. They may see courage beneath your fear. They may see a future beyond your current circumstances. And perhaps that's why they won't let other people define you by your current situation. Chosen one. You are not required to see yourself through the eyes of people who underestimate you. You are allowed to see yourself through the evidence of what you've survived. Look at how far you've already come. There were moments you thought would destroy you. They didn't. There were moments you thought you couldn't handle. You did. There were people you thought you couldn't live without. You survived their absence. There were situations you thought would never change. They changed. And perhaps someone has been watching all of that. They saw the process. They saw the transformation. And now they trust the person you are becoming. So if you needed a reminder today, here it is. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You need to keep becoming someone you can believe in. And when genuine people stand beside you, value them. Don't take them for granted. Don't make them prove their loyalty every day. Give them room to be human, and give yourself room to grow, because the person who is quietly standing up for you may be seeing something that you cannot see yet. Chosen one, you have reached the part of this message where I want you to stop searching for the person. Instead, pay attention to the lesson. Someone standing up for you in silence is a reminder that your life is larger than what you can currently see. You only see your side of the story. You know what you feel. You know what you have experienced. You know the battles you have fought privately. But you don't know every conversation happening around you. You don't know every person who believes in you. You don't know every opportunity where your name has been mentioned. You don't know every person who has quietly wished you well. And you don't know every moment when someone refused to believe the worst about you. That uncertainty can be uncomfortable, but it can also be freeing, because you don't have to control everything. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to monitor everything. You can simply continue growing, continue healing, continue learning, continue becoming, and let people reveal themselves through their actions. The person who genuinely trusts you will eventually show it. Maybe through a conversation, maybe through an opportunity, maybe through protection, maybe through an honest confession, maybe through one sentence you never expected to hear. And when that moment comes, you may finally understand why certain things happened the way they did, why someone became distant, why a conversation never reached you, why an opportunity remained open, why someone changed their attitude, why someone suddenly started treating you with more respect. Maybe there was something happening behind the scenes, and maybe you were never meant to know about it at the time. Because if you had known, you might have reacted. You might have confronted someone. You might have created unnecessary conflict. Sometimes not knowing protects you, Sometimes ignorance preserves peace. Sometimes silence allows people to reveal their true character without interference. So don't be frustrated by what you don't know. Be grateful for what you do know. You know who you are. You know what you've survived. You know what you've learned. And you are beginning to recognize who deserves access to your life. That's enough. Chosen one. There may be someone listening to this who has been waiting for another person to say, "I believe in you." Maybe you've needed those words for a long time. Maybe someone once made you feel like you weren't enough. Maybe someone underestimated you so consistently that you eventually started doing it to yourself. You started questioning your intelligence, your ability, your decisions, your future, your worth. But today, I want you to separate their opinion from your identity. Someone's inability to recognize you does not mean you lack value. Someone's rejection does not automatically mean you are unworthy. Someone's misunderstanding does not become truth simply because they repeated it. And someone's silence does not prove that nobody cares. There may be someone quietly saying the opposite. There may be someone thinking, they are stronger than they realize. They are going to make it. They have something special. They just need time. I trust them. And you may never hear those words, but they can still be true. This is why you have to stop measuring your value by visibility. Not everything valuable is visible. Roots are not visible, but they hold the tree. Foundations are not visible, but they hold the building. Support is not always visible, but it can hold a person together. Maybe someone has been one of those invisible supports in your life, and perhaps now you are being reminded to appreciate the people who stand beside you quietly. If there is someone you immediately thought about during this message, don't rush, don't assume, don't create a story in your head. Just observe. Watch what they do. Watch how they treat you. Watch whether their actions match their words, because real trust becomes visible eventually, and when it does, you'll know. Chosen one, there is another thing. You have to learn to become that kind of person for others too. If you know someone's heart is genuine, don't allow gossip to define them. If someone is struggling, don't reduce them to their worst moment. If someone is growing, don't keep reminding them of who they used to be. If someone is misunderstood, give them a chance to speak, because you know what it feels like to be misunderstood. You know what it feels like when people decide your story without asking you. You know what it feels like when people see one chapter and judge the entire book. So become the person who says, wait, there's more to this. Let's hear them out. That is how you create the kind of loyalty you are looking for. And maybe that is the deeper reason this message found you, not just so you can discover who is standing up for you, but so you can recognize what genuine support looks like. It looks like honesty. It looks like patience. It looks like protection without control. It looks like correction without humiliation. It looks like trust without blindness. It looks like loyalty without possession. And it looks like someone being able to say, I know their flaws, and I still believe they deserve a chance. That is powerful. Chosen one, if you've been feeling alone, don't make permanent decisions based on a temporary feeling. If you've been misunderstood, don't destroy your character trying to convince everyone. If you've been rejected, don't assume rejection is the final chapter. If someone has walked away, let them walk. And if someone has quietly stayed, notice them. Because sometimes the person who matters most isn't the loudest person in your life. It's the one who stays steady, the one who doesn't need recognition, the one who doesn't turn your private struggles into public entertainment, the one who protects your name when you aren't there, the one who believes you can become more. That person is valuable, and perhaps one day they will tell you what they said. Maybe you'll look at them and say, why did you defend me? And they may simply answer, because I knew you. That's it. No dramatic explanation, no complicated story, just because I knew you. And maybe that will be the moment you finally understand. They were never defending a perfect version of you. They were defending the real you, the person they had seen, the person they knew, the person they trusted, and chosen one. That is why you should not allow the opinions of strangers to become louder than the truth of people who genuinely know you. You don't need the whole world, you need truth. You need peace. You need genuine people. And you need the courage to keep moving forward. So if this message reached you at the right time, leave one final comment. I know someone has my back. Not because you know every detail, not because you're trying to force a prediction, but because you are choosing to stop believing that you are completely alone. And if you don't know who that person is yet, that's okay. Let them reveal themselves naturally. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to interrogate them. You don't need to force a confession. Just live, grow, become stronger. Stay true to your character, and let the right people recognize you. Because the person who is truly standing up for you in silence will not need to perform forever. Eventually, their actions will speak, their words will surface, their loyalty will become visible. And when you finally discover what they said about you, you may realize that while you were questioning whether anyone believed in you, someone else had already decided that they did. Chosen one, you were never required to be understood by everyone. You were never required to win every battle. You were never required to prove your worth to every person who doubted you. Sometimes the greatest response is simply becoming who you were always capable of becoming. Let them talk, let them guess, let them misunderstand. Your life will answer in time. And while you keep moving forward, remember this. Someone may be standing up for you in a room you will never enter. Someone may be speaking your name with respect when you are not there. Someone may be trusting you when others are questioning you. Someone may be seeing your potential while you are focused on your past. And someone may have already said words about you that you would never expect. You may not hear them today. You may not hear them tomorrow. But if they are genuine, you won't have to chase them. The truth has a way of becoming visible. So keep going, chosen one. Protect your peace. Honor the people who genuinely support you. Stop begging to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. And never forget, quiet support is still support. Silent loyalty is still loyalty. And sometimes, the person standing up for you in silence believes in you more than you ever imagined. If this message spoke directly to your heart, leave "I am not alone" in the comments. And if you know someone who needs this reminder today, share this message with them. Because sometimes the person who needs to hear that someone believes in them is the person who has almost stopped believing in themselves. Chosen one, keep going. Someone may already be standing with you. You just haven't heard what they said yet.